Still waiting on Wilson Street.
Where we at? Friends, yeah.
Yeah, here's Trent.
Okay, oh, good.
And here's Jay.
Hi, Danica, I see you there. We're waiting for Trent to have quorum. He's about to come into the virtual room.
There's.
Think it's working now, right?
Spotlight, Penn, Trent, and Danica.
Hi, Trent, how are you?
Recovering. How are you?
Good.
I
Cool.
don't know if I can hear them both.
Should be spotlight.
Oh, spotlight.
Why don't you, make me an administrator and I'll do that way.
We are recording. Welcome to the University Hill Community Management Commission meeting. It shows me it's recording.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that anywhere saying it's recording.
It says pause or stop recording at the bottom of my screen. Is it only recording me?
Mine says recording at the top right.
Okay.
Sorry,
Thank
it's like
you.
if we're not bringing it on top here, it's not there.
So we,
Usually it shows up on the screen up here. All right, let's, yeah,
okay,
thanks, Ellie, sorry.
or. It should be recording the sound from there. Okay, we're good. I just want to make sure. All right, sorry. Okay. Welcome to the University Hill Community Management Commission meeting. It is January 7th, 2025, and I will call roll. Trent Bush,
Here.
Tel Jones is not here. Danica Powell,
Present.
Ted Rockwell,
Present?
Andrew Shoemaker is not here. I will turn the meeting over to Chair Rockwell for procedural items.
Thank you, Ellie, appreciate that. So we have two procedural items on our agenda. The first is the approval of the November 24 meeting minutes. As presented in our packet. Does anyone have any corrections or additions to the meeting minutes that were submitted to us in the packet? Okay. I will move to accept the meeting minutes as presented. Do I hear a second? Danica is seconding. I see that.
Second.
And now I'm calling for a vote on it. Approve. the
Approve.
motion. Danica, you're approving it. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Item B under procedural items is commission recruitment. Kennedy, Ellie, you've got your name on this.
Yeah.
Over to you.
So just a brief update, very short. We do not currently have any applications for the residence seat. So I will keep you updated if that changes. So that's where we're at right now.
There is an open house coming up. Is it appropriate to bring that up here? There's a boards and commissions like open house happening here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, for all the boards and commissions.
Yeah, then I got an email about, I don't know if anyone has time to show up to that. I'm pretty sure we all got that email. It may be an opportunity for us to be able to help recruit if anyone shows up to that, to this commission. So just pointing that out. All right. We are now to the public participation portion of our agenda. Is there any member of the public here who would desire to speak to the commission?
I do not have anyone on the Zoom.
All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We got consent agenda in the packet. Is there anything in the consent agenda that commissioners would like to bring up and discuss? Seeing none, I'm going to move forward then to the fund financials. Does anyone have any question around the fund financials as presented in the packet?
No.
Seeing none, I move on to then the UJID visitation report. Are there any items of discussion or questions commissioners have about the visitation report? moving right along.
Does everybody want to go home?
Some of them are already home. No, I mean, I'll just make a note that I think the visitation report shows what we have all been seeing, which is traffic is up on the hill. As a result of both football and then the hotel being open this week.
Yeah, and real quick, sorry, I was trying to get my unmute button going. Yeah, it was encouraging for sure. Was the first year, was that still a COVID year or was that not? I think it was 2022, 23. So was that,
COVID was 2021.
Yeah.
So, that's post-COVID.
okay, so if I read it correctly, we're up 66% in 2 years? Is that what that reflected?
It's about correct, yeah.
Okay, well, that was highly encouraging.
We went from 2.9 million visits to 3.8 million visits between 22 and then 24.
Yeah, so, looking really closely, so 3-year, the year over year by 3 years, 139% above the worst of the pandemic, last year, and then this year, we're 62.5%
Oh,
above
yeah, okay, that's what it was.
2022.
Anything else city commissioners want to bring up regarding any of the above, including flood financials or otherwise? All right. Seeing none, I'm going to move on then to the Hill Boulder update. Is Jake present online?
He is online.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm here.
Hey,
Hi, everyone.
hi Jake.
Hey there.
Happy New Year. So I sent along some updates to Ellie, and I think some of those got included. I'm also going to mention the half-ass subs fire that happened a couple of days ago, and I heard back from Fred about that. But I'll start with the Excel outage update. So this is something I mentioned at the last, either the full UCAMC meeting or one of the bi-monthly or one of the kind of in-between check-ins. I did get a written statement from the Excel rep that I had talked to, and I reprinted it in the agenda there. But basically, half of the feeders that feed the hill have been improved, although it's a little less. I understood it as like big, huge changes that will mean, nothing bad will ever go wrong ever again. It sounds like basically they just went out there and did improved wildlife management, like vegetation management around the feeders. They were not able to find any actual physical mechanical issues that caused the outages, but they added kind of like a double barrier to keep vegetation and wildlife out of those feeders. And they also let me know that all of the feeders that feed the hill have been identified for a series of repairs and improvements that are tied to this larger plan that they have, that they linked and that I linked in the agenda. So happy to answer questions. I don't really know much though, but I'm happy to relay questions to Excel. Anything on that?
Okay. Other commissioners? Matt has a question.
Just your total questions. Jake, did they give you a timeline on when they're gonna make those repairs?
All they did was link me to the entire project. And I think they told me that whole project has like a 5-10 year horizon. So no, they did not give me any specifics about hill timelines. No.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll speak about the half-ass subs fire that happened over the weekend. So I heard from Fred. He said that they will have to be closed for a couple months. That's his estimate. He said that they're having assessments performed tomorrow, and after that, he'll know more about an exact timeline. We did put out a social media post because they have a GoFundMe that they've started to try to support their staff. So not for property costs or anything, but to support the staff while they're out of work. So we promoted that. And then what else did Fred say? Hold on. Yeah, just emphasizing nobody was hurt, no one was there at the time, but that the damage was pretty significant.
Was it just to Half-Fast, or was it also to the residential units upstairs?
The both, yes. The fire started in the apartments above Half-Fast, and I guess the burn through the ceiling, burn through the floor of the apartments and the ceiling of Half-Fast,
Oh, shit.
because he described that the whole place was soaked. So I mean, they're putting out fires. I guess that's why. But
So there's no fire penetration into the commercial space. It's all water damage from water that trickled down through the building. So the damage, the fire damage itself has been limited to the top floors. But the water damage is what is causing Half-Fast issues.
And is it snag
Got
too?
it.
I'm guessing snag is probably also same issue.
I haven't heard about snag, but I've reached out.
Okay.
Probably not nearly as bad. The fire was limited to the northern half of the upper levels as well.
No, okay.
So I'm not sure how bad snag was impacted as far as damage. But of course, the city's chief building official is going to decide when the building can be occupied for business and living. And so that's gonna take some time.
Are there any resources that the city has or recommendations for this business owner in helping bridge this gap for their employees between this and when they can open again?
No, other than hopefully they have a traditional insurance policy that covers these types of instances. I'm not sure about lost wages, because that's what their GoFundMe request is for, about whether insurance policies ever include that. But yeah, no direct resources as far as management.
All right. Then a couple business updates. So the Taco Junkie space has been filled with a new variant of Scrooge Mackie called Scrooge Soul. Same owners, but now open at the Taco Junkie space at 1149 13th Street. Boss Lady Pizza space has been filled with a slice spot, so that's great. It's called Slice Shack. The Sports Optical, that was the small business next to Lollycup, did not make it, unfortunately, and has been replaced by Emmy's Charm Bar. Emmy's Charm Bar is actually it has a pretty big following on social media, which is really good for us. So we'll see how it, performs brick and mortar, but she has like 50,000 followers or something, and she's just like a single person jeweler. So that's exciting. And then I attached the ambassador survey results and the ambassador year-end report that James put together. The survey results I'd mentioned at the last meeting, and the year-end report is something more recent that James put together to show all the hard work they're doing up there. And
Thanks,
that's
Jake.
all I've got.
Do any commissioners have any questions about the above for Jake?
No.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you very much, Jake, for those updates. Appreciate that. We're on
Thank
to
you all.
matters from staff. Chris, I guess I'll turn that over to you.
Thanks, Ted. And I'll quickly turn it over to Matt Shazansky. At our meeting last year, we presented our draft work plan for 2025. There have been no dramatic changes. But given the work that the commission did over the last couple of months on setting priorities, we wanted to share how our 2025 work plan is working towards those priorities. And then there were some items that I think we wanted to clarify, that we were able to clarify for other commissions. Since this is our first stop along a series of meetings over the next several weeks, we did make some changes to the work plan presentation. I think that's going to share some of that. So Matt, over to you.
Great. And while the screen's back on. So yeah, with the, you can't see priorities, we wanted to sort of, get organized because it's a great way for you to advise staff on the important things and how to have a perspective on our work plans. So, on the second slide.
It
Yeah,
won't
come on.
present it. It won't present it, I'm sorry.
That's fine, you're good. I think we can read that, that's fine. I just wanted to kind of go through this real quick because we do have these 4 priorities and, they're things that are, they're gonna be in discussion with all of you and it's part of an evolution as you work through the year and new commissioner coming on board. So I understand that that's a sort of a living conversation, but wanted to highlight the things that are already underway. And get your input on this, but more importantly is just to kind of keep this in mind because as you continue to have discussions about all those things, we want to continue to hear about how it might impact these or gaps in our work plans so that we can continue to evolve as well. So real quick, I'll read through them. I promise I won't bore you too much, but on the issue of increased attention in foot traffic, our maintenance team and our enforcement team, led by the very capable Christine Edwards, is going to be working on parking code updates with planning and development services. That's across all of our districts, but obviously on the Hill, there's got some specific implications. There's going to be a new piece of public art. It's probably not going to be installed during this work plan year, but the work will begin on that. And we've already had some discussions about that. Should be really exciting. Regan and her team are looking at the mobile vending cart program. Obviously, that's a downtown issue, but we have had mobile vending cart permits available on the Hill in the distant past. We want them to come back. And we've got a couple of creative ideas we'll be bringing back and talking with you about that. And then the special event sponsorship program. So this is something that's existed for a while, and it's led by Justin Greenstein and the Office of Special Events. We're going to be retooling sponsorships this year, trying to drive events to address some of the citywide sustainability, equity, resilience framework goals, and have some very specific criteria. So those are really effective uses of funding to drive events in certain directions for gaps in the community, to help cover things like zero waste and other additional costs. So we'll be leveraging the sponsorship program, especially around the event street on the Hill. Thinking about the issues of cleanliness and safety, the streetscape project, that could probably hit all 4 of these, honestly. That's going to be a big deal. We're going to be collaborating closely with transportation and mobility department in order to start design and hopefully get pretty far along this year in creating some more pleasant, engaging, beautiful improvements to Broadway and the entrance into the Hill. But it obviously will address safety and the pedestrian experience, as well as the experience in driving along there. So we put that in there, but you'll get sick of us talking about that. On-street enforcement is part of our regular business cycle, but that team is going to be looking at how to improve, looking at data on specifically the Hill and trying to find ways to improve the parking experience up there and make sure that everything is safe and there's eyes on the streets. Obviously, the Hill ambassadors, thanks Jake for including that report in there. That's going to be important to cleanliness and making sure that we're doing that right. A quick note that Downtown Boulder, who has the vendor is contracted to them. They have been talking extensively with their contractor, which is called Block by Block. Thank you. About making improvements. They actually have a new supervisor for that program. So there should be some things to say about that in over the course of the year. And then the business services team is going to be taking, in addition to the great work they already do with Placer AI and looking at all the data from parking, and they're going to be taking a look at how to improve our tracking of data so that we can have some good programmatic evaluation across all of these things. The issue of the redevelopment plan for the 14th Street lot. Obviously, Regan has a lot of thoughts about that, and we'll continue to talk about how we move towards a long-term solution for that. But really, the 2 things that I think play into this we are gonna be taking our, parking, access teams to be taking a look at, the camp program and how Chautauqua plays into this in the neighborhood program, but also taking a look holistically at the parking situation, and that will play into the 4th Street lot and how we mitigate any future development on there. So that they're going to be an important part of that. But most important is the Boulder Commercial Areas Blueprint. When we take a look at the long-term future of the Hill District, this is going to be an important part of it as the postage stamp of land that we can play with. That's got to be important, and we've got to make sure that that's thought through, and that's how we'll do it. And so you'll hear about that later on this year. And then fiscal resiliency, in addition to on-street parking, performance-based pricing, the permit pricing, and the improvement district analysis, which we'll talk about in a second. The business services team is really going to be keeping an eye on this, and as we work through the future and any sort of strategic financial or governance tweaks we can make of mapping that up carefully, so we can have a good conversation about that. So sorry that I rambled through that. Chris, do you have anything to add about these connections to the priorities? Great. Then I just wanted to show you this slide for your edification. In addition to, we went into some deep detail about the district management work plan that Regan is leadership on. But across all of our divisions, we have a really robust work plan. This is just the highlights of what all of our team is going to be doing over the course of 2025 and over all of our districts and citywide. I'm not going to read much of any of this, but I will distribute this for everyone so that you can take a look at it. And if you have any questions about specific things in there, please do reach out to me and we'll get those answers. But I'm just really proud of this team and the amount that we're doing and mobilizing this year, and a lot of new sort of complicated work as well. So we'll keep you informed as things sort of land on the Hill with some of these projects.
Trent, Danica, do you have any questions for Matt regarding his presentation?
No, I'm just trying to digest it all. Well, I guess I do have a question, sorry. How does the valuation of the KGID and UGID fit in? Did I see that? I know you're hiring a consultant to work on that. Is that?
And I think you're referring to the improvement district analysis. And
Yeah.
the financials. Yeah. So one of the tasks, actually, we'll be talking about this in a
So
second.
next agenda item.
Next agenda
Okay.
item. So we'll table that for a second, but yes, the answer is yes, we're looking at it.
Does it fit into this or is it just separate?
No, it does, and we've got it at the bottom at sort of the fiscal resiliency priority. The improvement.
Oh, I
district
see it. Okay. Sorry about
It's a-
that.
it's a-
I'm just trying to take it all in. I'm really sick too, so sorry. I'm doing my best.
Oh, you're totally good, and an important point is we kind of sorted these things into these categories in order to sort of line them up. But really, that's another one of these projects that really fits across all four and has some tentacles out into other discussions that we're gonna have. But it does fit neatly into fiscal resiliency because at the end, the improvement district analysis is gonna give us some financial tools and some efficiency tools. So that's where we slid in.
I have a question regarding the eye chart, which is the third slide.
Yes.
Customer service. So on the chart, you obviously things can fit in more than one category, but I see customer service, and I'm curious what that refers to. It's just I'm not clear on what that is in terms of how the city shows up to provide customer service.
So I can give you an answer, but first, is Christine on the call? I don't want to steal her thunder.
Oh,
Hi,
there she is.
I'm actually sitting at the customer service desk right now over. In case you guys are wondering, we have a whole customer service team. But we work with residents all over the city to manage NPPs and all of the garages and parking permits. And so a lot of it has to pertains to parking management, vendor, like if people are wanting permits in order to be a vendor down in the Pearl Street Mall, the team is involved with that sort of work. So there are lots of types of customer service that we provide to businesses and individuals across the city.
Okay, that's super helpful. Thank you. I just
Yeah,
wasn't.
you're welcome. Apologies for not being there in person, but Margot's 40th birthday is today, so she needed to be released to go enjoy herself. So teamwork. All right, I'm going to pop back off of video so you don't have to look at me.
Any other questions from the commissioners for Matt or staff? Thank you very much.
Thanks, Matt. Of course, your name is listed next to the next item, but I think you'll probably quickly hand it over to Regan and the consultant team that hopefully, but I don't know if we're able to pin them, both Brad and Amanda. I think we're on the call.
Yeah.
All right, but I will be quiet and pass on. Yes.
Thank you. Oh, is that me?
Somebody.
I'm on mute. Never mind. Okay, I was not. Hi, everyone. So just as a reminder, sort of a recap, we are working on an improvement district analysis project. So this will provide guidance on financial tools and governance structures to support healthy and vibrant commercial areas throughout our city. And the analysis will include reviewing existing conditions, planned future investments, including within our existing general improvement districts. So that was what you were referring to, Danica, with UCAMC and Cajun, but also Boulder Junction. And the goal is to really provide the city with a comprehensive toolbox of strategies that focus primarily on near-term improvements and long-term sustainability for our districts. So we recently brought on a consultant for this work. Brad and Amanda are on the call. They're with Progressive Urban Management Associates, also known as PUMA. They're based out of Denver. They are a team of experts in downtown management and community development and have a ton of experience working in Boulder. So would love to pass it over to you, Brad, to introduce yourself, and Puma and Amanda as well.
Great, thanks, Regan. Can you all hear me just fine over there? Yes. Great. So thanks for making time on your agenda to meet us today. We just want to get acquainted, give you a sense of who we are and what we do, and to the extent we have time for any questions today, we'll stick around. But I'm Brad Siegel, and also on the screen is my colleague Amanda, who you'll meet in a moment. And we are 1/4 of PUMA. So PUMA, Progressive Urban Management Associates, is a firm in Denver. We specialize in downtown and business district management. I'm a Denver native. I got started in this work almost 40 years ago in downtown Denver. So I worked with the Downtown Denver Business Improvement District. My job back then was lower downtown. It was not doing so well. And so I worked in economic development, helping small businesses get into Lodo in the late 80s and then the early 90s. The last 31 years, our team, which is primarily planners and real estate economists, we've worked all over the country. We've worked in 40 states, 300 clients. And we do strategic planning, we do financial analysis. We've put together a lot of improvement districts. And the last thing I'll say is I go back with the hill. So I have parachuted in and out from Denver on several occasions over the last 25 years with the General Improvement District. So I know you guys reasonably well. Not to mention that my wife's an alum, as is my son. So there you go. Amanda, you're up next.
Thanks, Brad. Hi, everyone. Very nice to meet you all. My name is Amanda Kennard. I have been with PUMA coming up on 8 years. It'll be my 8-year anniversary in March. And during that time, I've had the opportunity to work with Brad on various types of special districts, both throughout the Front Range and nationally. So this is my first time working in Boulder. I'm really excited to be there though. And I'm well versed in these types of districts all over the state of Colorado. So my background is in planning as well, as Brad mentioned. Many of us are planners. So again, thanks. Happy to be here. And I'll be the overall project manager on the district improvement analysis project. So thank you.
So just an additional thing I'll say is, first of all, just kudos to this board and to the city of Boulder for doing this. Your general improvement district's been in place almost 40 years, I think more than 40 years, actually. So I don't know if you're in midlife crisis or just an appropriate time to take stock of what the general improvement district is doing, particularly with the changes that are happening moving forward. You've had some pretty profound changes in the last couple of years. Certainly the hotels are going to be game changers, I would think, for the Hill. And then there's always the issue of the Hill and how it relates to downtown and the connection between the two. So we'll be looking at the Hill, we'll be looking at downtown, we'll be looking at Boulder Junction. We'll be leaning heavily on past plans and studies. There are no lack of past plans and studies up there. And then trying to look at how these improvement districts work with the city, with the property owners, with the businesses, really to create the most prosperous district we can. So with that, Regan, I don't know what else, we're here, we got as much time as you'd like. I don't know what else you'd like us to explore, or maybe we just take questions.
Thank you, Brad and Amanda. I'll briefly go over next steps and we can open it up to the commission for questions directed at either Brad or Amanda or city staff. But we are currently in the research engagement portion of this work. So we've given the PUMA team plenty of reading to do, formation, ordinance, documents to the ULI top work that we did last year or 2 years ago now. But PUMA is gathering data on all existing conditions, really leveraging existing studies and plans and prior engagements. We'll then work on filling any gaps in engagement and or research, but the goal is to have preliminary recommendations ready for you all in March, where PUMA is planning to be here in person to have a thorough, deeper conversation with you all in preparation to going to council for a study session on April 24th to present our work. So those are next steps.
And if I could add on to that, a big next step is the commercial areas blueprint that we talked about briefly. And just to remind everyone of the distinction, the improvement district analysis is a near-term study. The commercial areas blueprint is going to be broader and broad.
And the district is 54 years old this year, so well beyond midlife.
Mid-50s, the new mid-40s.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, speak for yourself. And Regan, I just wanted to let you know, I did get your email regarding this.
Oh.
I'm sorry I haven't responded. I was in the throes of COVID, which is why I'm not there right now. So I'll respond to your email regarding next steps.
I have a question right off the bat. It's kind of a softball, I think. I don't know. Brad, it sounds like you've been in this line of work for a long time. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts on and what you see coming and what your thoughts are, knowing what you know about the Hill, on what this engagement looks like for your office and what that looks like in terms of how the city then can respond to those things. What should we be looking forward to in the next 3 or 4 months?
Well, yeah, that's a bit of a softball, so I'll try to hit it. I mean, in summary, it's going to be kind of fast and furious. This is a fairly short engagement, the next 3-4 months. But we're building upon years of work that's already been done. I also think the beauty of the Hill, it's compact. For better or worse, you're pretty much landlocked. And that provides maybe a little bit more certainty about the future than maybe some other commercial areas in Boulder and other places we work in. So, so for us, and actually for me personally, having the 25+ year history with you guys, I'm really excited to sort of get under the hood and just look at the mechanics, if you will, of the improvement district and how that matches with what the demands are moving forward. It's interesting to me, while the district has changed and while your relationship with the city, I would say too, has dramatically changed. And parentheses for the better. We want to make sure you can sort of maintain and hold that moving forward. So I guess the last thing I'd say here, I think our role is to come in and, despite having that knowledge, to be objective. How is the improvement district doing? And maybe most importantly, are we optimizing the partnership between the improvement district and the city? And when I say the improvement district, I'm really talking about your stakeholders, about the property owners, the business owners that are on the Hill. And lastly, there may be some, hopefully there's enough time where we may come up with some innovation and some new ideas. So anything from maybe some tweaks to the improvement district to maybe some ideas on some wholesale changes. The sense I'm getting from the city is they're pretty open, in terms of potential adjustments to the district, ranging from, again, sort of minor to maybe long-term, more significant changes moving forward. So I kind of rambled a little bit, but hopefully answered your question.
No, it's really helpful. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Danica, Trent, do you have any insights or questions or anything for the consultants or city staff here?
No, again, I may have missed this, sorry, but I'm excited to meet you. How does the university play into this? Are they seen as a stakeholder that you'll be engaging with, or how did you, I don't know if they were mentioned as you look at this district?
Yeah, I'll boot that over to the city staff. You can't look at the Hill and not talk to the university, is my opinion of it. So, I would hope, that we'll be talking to the university as we go through this. And then, some of the development across the street, that hotel they're building is a pretty ambitious, it's pretty ambitious. And it's also, while it may be on state land, that's a commercial venture that is going to impact your district. So we're going to certainly want to learn more about it. We're going to want to learn more about the university's plans for around you. And we'll rely on city staff to help us navigate that.
Yeah, and that's a joint venture with the Aspen Ski Company as well. I worked on both the hotel projects, and they definitely are seen as together, sister projects for the Hill. But you mentioned the relationship with the city's gotten better. I also think the university and the city relationship has gotten a lot better in the last few years, and that's an example, I think, of that collaboration. So I would hope to see that continue. I know there's a lot of talk about that, and I know the district, they're not in the district, but they certainly are seen as people don't see it that way. Like you said, they don't see it as state land, I don't think, along the Broadway corridor.
Right.
Well, especially people who go to the hotel and go to the conferences, they don't know where the boundaries are, right? And so we do need to include them in all conversations for sure.
Yeah, which I guess, and it's a Limelight hotel. It begs the question though, are they paying like lodging taxes and other city fees? Or are they completely separate because of the Quebec and the nature of the university relationship? Question for staff.
A really good question. So yes to some, not to all. And there were some concessions that the city made to incentivize the project in its location. So some of the lodging taxes being directed toward nonprofit subsidies to use the conference space as an example. So There are some nuances associated with the project that isn't, and it's not in the UGIT district most specifically. It's not generating any revenues directly as far as property taxes for the UGIT district.
That's right. I should know that. But when we get to that point where they are generating lodging taxes, we should be publicizing that for the nonprofits to be able to use the space, because that is a wonderful thing for the community.
They are included in the new tourism improvement district that council will likely be establishing here in the upcoming meeting, which will generate additional revenues to be utilized by the Convention and Visitors Bureau to support things like shuttle systems, other infrastructure that supports improved experience for visitation in the city.
Awesome. Thank you.
Anything else from the other commissioners? I'll talk here a little bit by saying it's a pleasure to meet you all, and good luck in all of your work. If there's any way in which commissioners can provide any support, we're at your beck and call practically. This is, one of the things that we're responsible for. But also looking forward to hearing more about how this engagement goes with staff. So thank you for taking the time today to introduce yourselves and let us know about your work.
Sure. And also, again, thank you for making time on the agenda. We will take you up on that offer. We will seek out your knowledge and your experience on the Hill as we go through this. And I think Regan mentioned we're going to be there in person at least in March, maybe more as this moves forward. We're not that far. We're just, down the hill a bit.
Well, and if I remember correctly, I think both Trent and or Ted volunteered to be part of the stakeholder, steering committee. I don't know what we're calling it.
Advisory group,
Advisory
whatever we want to
Anyhow,
call it.
So there will be engagement between now and the March meeting at that level.
Yeah, and that was what I was mentioning to Regan, that I did get your email, but I was not effective when I received it, so I'll reply to that. But yes, I very much volunteered to do that.
Thank you, Brad and Amanda.
Great. Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Well, Regan, it's still you. You're on the next item.
I'm gonna quickly spit out my gum because I failed to do that before the last agenda. I was like, I could just take one. But I didn't know to do that. Okay, help me drawing. I have a few slides to share. Screen sharing for those. Update on the outdoor dining pilot program. Just gonna jump right in here. I will start by just providing a kind of high level summary reminder of the program. So it was launched in September of 2022. It is a citywide program. It's a 5-year pilot as it stands currently, available year round for businesses who participate. It's currently set to expire in October of 2027. I'll touch on that more in a little bit here. We have some recommendations for making it a more permanent offering for the community. It is available for businesses who are in the public right of way in front of their storefront, in on-street parking spaces or on the Pearl Street Mall, as well as businesses on private property in parking or other open spaces. And another note I'll add here is that businesses have a couple of different options if they are participating in the program. If they're in the public right of way, which includes leasing parklet infrastructure from the city, in which we selected Maud Street as our parklet manufacturer. They're based out of Durango, so we've been working with them for a few years already. And so businesses have that option to lease the infrastructure. We purchase it in bulk each year, depending on the applicant pool. Currently, the application window is from February 1st to March 1st. But we'll be changing that as well. I'll go over that on the next slide. The other option is businesses can either build or privately purchase their own compliant infrastructure. So they have two options in that regard. So to help inform the future of the program and get a sense of how it's going, we did conduct a survey to existing participants. We had a response rate of 57%, so 12 out of 21 businesses responded to our survey. Generally, a lot of positive responses. Almost everyone agreed that the program increases builders' vibrancy. Everyone reported a positive impact on their business revenue. So they indicated an average of 7.3% increase in business revenue, which we thought was great. And it also enabled businesses to hire a total of 14 new employees, as well as offer additional hours to existing staff members. In the survey, businesses identified some challenges and suggestions for improvement, which include ensuring clear program guidelines. The current guidelines are in the form of a very lengthy document as it stands now, and businesses have indicated a bit of confusion around what's permissible in terms of lighting, heating, maintenance, cleaning, etc. So we're working on just providing clearer language that's more digestible to the business community. And then another suggestion was moving the application window. So as I mentioned, currently the window is February 1st to March 1st annually, which has not proven to allow enough time for businesses to get their infrastructure before the summer months, the busy season, if they're leasing the infrastructure. So due to delays in permitting, businesses maybe not submitting all their required materials before the deadline. And then once we actually do approve an application, we're seeing this manufacturing timeline once we get that order to Maud Street. So it can sometimes cause pretty significant delays. And so that was a suggestion for improving the program. And then the next slide, I'll get into some program improvements that were based on the survey and internal conversations about the program. So moving forward, we will be transitioning to a rolling application window to allow for more flexibility for businesses. It also helps city staff to not have an influx of applications each year, and really allows for us to provide more hands-on one-on-one assistance to businesses to acquire materials in and whatnot. We will be, as I mentioned, updating the program guidelines to allow for more simplicity, clarity, again, making sure it's more digestible to the business community. So we'll update that on our website. We're just working cross-departmentally right now to ensure that those guidelines are clear and accurate, and we're simplifying them. And then Maud Street agreement renewal. So Maud Street, good news, is now outsourcing all their standard products instead of manufacturing them in-house, which means that their lead times are significantly decreasing. So previously we've seen manufacturing timelines from 6 weeks up to 12 weeks. So we're facing this 3-month delay once a business is approved to get their infrastructure. They have promised us a 6-week delivery time moving forward, which I will be writing into our agreement renewal with them. So that'll be the case moving forward, which is a huge win. And then lastly, it's not on this slide, but we are currently working with our cross-departmental colleagues to prepare ordinance language for council in hopes of making this program a more permanent offering. So that will go to council sometime in 2025. I'll have more info for you all by the next meeting on exactly what that would take place. That was it. Happy to answer the questions.
Any questions for Regan about the outdoor dining project?
Are there any current applications on the Hill, or is it, I'm trying to think, is it the corner that has?
The corner has a patio. I think that's it for the Hill. And the rolling application window will launch before February 1st, and so we'll get that out in newsletters. I'll coordinate with the Hill Builder and we'll get the word out about that to give
Okay.
everyone an opportunity to apply.
Is there any way, well, first of all, are these, because I was trying to think which ones were on the Hill, mostly Pearl Street. When these restaurants aren't open, is there any way to like activate them by doing like a, I don't know, a takeover, like could half past subs, like you know, is there a way to like, or make it more affordable, like two restaurants could share a patio and they could run food from somewhere else? Or have you looked at any options like that to kind of get more activation at different time? Like if there are only lunch and dinner restaurant, somebody else could do coffee, breakfast. Has that been discussed at all to kind of make more use of these spaces?
That's a good question. It is a tricky one because permits are specific to the business who applied and received the permit. So the lease agreements are written for a specific business as well as the liquor license if they serve alcohol. So it's a good question and something I can definitely pose to other departments and see what our possibilities are.
Yeah, I'd offer that and really what the arrangement is with the city is it's a revocable lease that allows them to use the public right of way for their own purposes. Everything beyond that is up to the folks who hold that lease. They can certainly work with a neighbor when they're not using that space to sublet it for some sort of use in the city's. As long as it's not getting outside if they're gonna run I don't know, an outdoor winter gear sales outlet, that probably will not be looked upon very happily. But if it's a hot chocolate, cafe, some sort of food sales, that's up to them. So I don't know that there's anything currently that prohibits people thinking creatively how to utilize that space because they're paying for it, right? It's a lease. They're leasing that space from the city. If they want to be entrepreneurial and think really creatively about how to make money off of that space during colder months, there's certainly ways that they could do that if that's something that they were interested in.
Oh, cool. Good to know. I think about like Sancho's and how much or not Santo, and how many burritos they sell in the morning, just, out of their little front space. And how that really creates a different activation of that restaurant and that shopping center. So cool.
Is this, and just maybe, I don't know if anybody knows this question or the answer, but because Ginger Pig had picnic tables outside and those were removed. Is that because they didn't have the necessary permit, or was it not allowed on the sidewalk? Does anybody?
Yeah, I don't think that if I'm remembering correctly, they did not have a permit. They are more than welcome to participate if they don't want to pursue outdoor dining. We also have the cafe seating program, which allows businesses to put tables and chairs out on the sidewalk, as long as they bring them in every evening. So I think we communicated that to them. Yes.
Got it.
Anything else for Regan before we move on to the next agenda item? Appreciate that. Chris, I think you're up.
Yeah, this is really short. I just know the last meeting, there was a request or desire of the commission to write a letter to council. We had heard on the staff side, weren't sure whether or not council was requesting letters. There was some discussion at the board and commission council committee about possibly requesting letters. But as of today, that request has not come through. So it's not being requested of any boards and commissions. It does not prohibit you all from organizing on your own. We can't tell you what to do on that front. So if that's something that you want to pursue, that is up to you all, but we have not been asked to facilitate letters from commissions to or in advance of their midterm retreat coming up in February.
Chris?
That concludes matters from staff.
Thank you, Chris. So we're at matters from commissioners, the KFC bi-monthly meeting recap, the recap of the check-in recap. On December 10th. There wasn't, we discussed a little bit about priorities at that meeting, because when we left the last official KFC meeting, the priorities were a little unclear, and I think there was some confusion. I think we were able to take submissions that had been sent by commissioners and discuss a little bit about that in that that bi-monthly recap. What you see in the packet for the priorities is essentially where we landed. We're going to discuss that here coming up next in the next meeting agenda item. That was predominantly what we discussed in that recap. I don't think there was anything else that we needed to try to bring up there. We don't have any.
That was last year.
Yeah.
So long ago. It's funny how December 10th to January 10th feels like no time at all. Even though it's a whole year, it's fun. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next thing, which is the finalized 2025 KFC priorities. It is in your meeting packet. I don't know what page it's on, 27.
Do you want me to, I can put it on the screen.
Thank you. Appreciate that. The 2024 commission priorities were the three that you see below. They have a bit of a description of each one. And then we added a fourth, which is the near and long-term fiscal resiliency for UGID. Because as we have seen in the last couple of years, just trying to figure out what UGID is going to end up being financially over time is a priority, needs to be something that needs to be addressed. So here are the priorities submitted for UKFC. I now am kind of opening it up for other commissioners to make comments or feedback on the priorities that are presented.
No, they look in line with what we had discussed. I don't see what you have on the screen. It's not up, but it's just the same as the packet, right?
It is, yeah, it's page 27 of the packet.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, my only question, do we, in the 2024, I mean, I guess the addition of the last one, do we just have the little breakout of, I guess we don't really need it. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, near and long-term fiscal resiliency of UGID, but do we need to add that sort of descriptive paragraph to that for people to, I don't know if we need it or not.
Yeah, I mean, that is something that we could consider doing if we wanted to have more specificity about how, what we mean by that fiscal resiliency.
I mean, it feels like, I mean, depending on who's using this, if this is just internal for us, we know what we mean. If this doc is being used or being disseminated or used outside or whatever, it might be worth just giving a little bit of a description, a little context for that last one.
I think that's a good idea. Even if we're all still here in a year, we probably might forget what we meant. Just like we had some questions on some of the previous priorities, so I like that idea. And then we can just change this to 2025, and then if everything else is still accurate for the description.
Yeah, I mean, we could, if you wanted to, you could update the first, the readiness of the hill, you know, where it's with the expectations of increased attention and foot traffic, it's proving out, as we just saw in the visitation study. It's no longer expectations, it's true, right? So maybe to put that one a little more in the present tense of what is actually occurring. Might just put a little more onus on the fact that we need to be ready now, right?
Yeah, you could just delete expectations of with increased attention and foot traffic in the first state.
Yeah, there you go.
That's present tense.
So sorry, this is what we submitted.
Yeah.
We don't need a letter. You're saying there's no need for
We could
anything
try
else.
the wordsmith number, the description for number 4. I would suggest that potentially we could do that offline. Maybe send each other some email around that and provide that to city staff.
If not each other,
Oh, well,
but
yes,
so yeah, that's the challenge. It would need to be facilitated by us, so combining multiple thoughts into one thought for open consideration.
unless someone had a really bright idea right now, I could just spit out about 2 sentences about number 4. I think we may want to take more time with it than that, is kind of where I'm coming at it.
Yeah, I'm not I'm not fully up to speed, you guys, so that's brain power above what I'm capable of right now.
I'm glad to hear I'm not the only one, Trent. Sorry you're sick.
Yeah, no, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
And we're missing 2 other commissioners, and so I feel like this really should be something each of the 5 of us pay attention to. But it shouldn't prevent us from addressing the priorities themselves and improving those. And so my suggestion would be that we take offline and work with city staff to create verbiage around 4 that could be added to the priorities. But in the meantime, I'm going to make a motion to approve the 4 priorities as presented in the meeting packet. Do I hear a second?
I just want one other quick thing.
We're not at discussion. Do I hear a second? Sorry, parliamentary procedure.
Sorry, I second.
Okay, now you can discuss it.
Pardon me. Number 3, just the way it's worded, parking in the redevelopment plan, maybe the inclusion of parking in the redevelopment plan or the necessity of parking, just to make it a little bit more of a complete sentence.
Oh, yeah. I accept your suggestion for an amendment to the motion.
And I don't know if inclusion is the right word or if importance. I don't know, whatever you think is the better.
Evaluate or
Consider parking. I don't know, whatever. I mean, inclusion is it all works. That works for me. I don't know. You guys, what do you think?
The inclusion.
Or consideration, whatever's on the screen now.
Well, I don't see.
Oh, I have that consideration. Just because you used consider further down here, because it's essential to consider provisions for parking.
Makes sense. Right. That makes sense to me, and I'll amend my motion to say as suggested for that. I think they were in pretty good shape there. Any other suggestions before we move forward? Any other discussion? All right, I'm gonna call for a vote on the priorities for 2025 for UPMC. All those in favor of approving the 4 priorities submitted with the edit? They're approved.
Yep.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. Let's see. Oh, yes, excellent. We have a letter, thank you to city staff for composing this for us. A letter to the university to thank them for the support of the ambassador program. I'm hoping you've all had a chance to read through this and wondering if anyone has any feedback or anything they want to adjust to this. Open that up, see if anyone has anything they want to add.
No, I thought it was good, and it definitely reflects what the sort of all the feedback was from the people who took the that was in the meeting packet. Sorry, my brain. But it looked great. I was thinking we should write one to Paul with the program itself too, just from UCAMC, thanking him for being, or the staff, that the ambassadors, the actual ambassadors.
Danica, I saw you go off mute. I'm not sure if you had any feedback.
No, I didn't mean to, but I was just reading the letter again, and I like Trent's idea. I think they're doing an amazing job. I see him out there all the time, and I'm not even on the hill that much. Like every time I'm up there, I see him.
I mean, it's been the biggest difference maker, I think, in the Hill in years. I mean, more so than the hotel. I mean, it's clean and it's approachable. And when, after games and all that stuff, it's back in shape pretty quickly. And those guys really do a great job. I do know Paul does a great job with outreach with all of the, everybody knows him. And it's definitely a much more just approachable part of Boulder because of it.
I completely agree.
But yes, agreed to send this letter. Absolutely.
Who is this from? Is it from?
It's
Us?
signed by the chair. It's got my name on it. I don't know if I was going to bring that up actually next. It's whether, is that appropriate, or do we have the entire commission? Is it from the commission? It's just
So,
the chair. It
On
represents
behalf of so on behalf of the commission, with that line.
Yeah.
I think you as the chair are addressing that. Thank you, but it is, and so we would, if we were to send this, we would need an approval from majority to.
All right, I'm going to make a motion to approve the letter to the university, thanking them for the ambassador program as presented. Do I have a second?
A second.
I think Danica just barely beat you right there. All right, any further discussion on this? I'm going to call for a vote then. All in favor? All right, it passes. In terms of getting a letter to Paul and the ambassadors, that idea, is that something that needs to be formalized? Is that something that city staff can just help support doing? I'm not quite sure about that.
Well, I mean, I have a close relationship with the TINA. They contracted block by block. We could CC Bettina on this letter. It is an edit letter that she just approved, but probably and then I could then ask her to follow the call and make sure that he knows this is extended to him.
Right. Did you capture that, Trent? Did you hear what Chris was just proposing?
Yeah, I heard it. I just thought it'd be nice to do something directly to, if possible, I mean, it's just nice to say thanks, right? Because he really does go above and beyond, and it'd be nice to recognize him for that. But I mean, I understand if it's an official city thing coming from UCAMC and we can't do it, then I'll just go thank him myself. which I'll do anyway.
I
But it
like
just,
the idea of CCing them on the letter and publicly doing that. I think that's what you were saying.
Yeah, that's what
Chris.
Chris was suggesting, yeah.
I like Trent's idea, and maybe we can work, Chris, you can work with Bettina also on some recognition that maybe she's already working on, but I'm happy to maybe next time, we can, I think CCing them on a letter to the chancellor is a good, easy step we could do now. I don't know if we need to
I
vote.
think we need to
amend-
create-
What?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a new motion, which is we're going to add a CC for Bettina to this letter. Do I
Can we
hear-
CC the group too? That's doing the work?
I can, so the ambassador team is quite large. So, and it covers both downtown and University Hill. So I just want to be thoughtful about, the scope creep. I can
Well,
make sure.
I thought they outsourced it to a group.
Two block by block, so and that they do both downtown and University Hill, so it's the same.
Could you
group.
CC block by block?
We don't really have, so Bettina is gonna be the best way to make sure that they get it. Block by Block is a national corporation, so it's kind of a. Yeah, I think I can make sure that Bettina is aware of this discussion and make sure that the message, the thank you gets through loud and clear.
that they think that would be great and that would be sufficient.
All right, so I made a motion to add Bettina as a CC on this letter. Do I have a second? Thank you. Danica beats Trent yet again. I'm gonna call for a vote on that. All in favor? All right, and we've passed that as a motion. I appreciate that. Sorry about the weirdness of two motions to do one thing. That's how the city works.
You're doing a very good job, Ted. Thank you.
God, Danica. Ugh.
We're very grateful. Can we send Ted a letter to say thank you for running while Trent and I are like,
Yeah. Oh, exactly. While we're coughing and hacking on the other
I'm
side.
trying to stay upright.
It's like nobody's here. All right, that is the end of those matters from commissioners. Is there anything commissioners wanted to bring up? Just open comment at this moment in the meeting?
I just had a quick question on the Moxie. Matt Swisher has departed, the GM. Do we know who the new GM is at the Moxie?
Jake on the call still?
That's a really good question. I do not have a name off the top of my head, but I know that it's been as a topic that is out there.
Okay. We've got some momentum had some momentum with them, and they were doing some really great things. And I'd just love to keep that momentum. So if anybody catches wind, it'd be nice to reestablish that relationship and just make sure they feel welcome from a UCAMC perspective.
I'm happy to ask if it's helpful.
Sure. If you can, it'd be great. And then we also, they named the GM of the Limelight. And I guess that's just a point of, information. I don't have his name at the top of my head, but I met him one day. He seems like a good guy.
Yes, and a long time Boulder hospitality professional, so someone who knows the community, and I can't think of their name off the top of my head either, but I think everyone's been super excited about that investment.
All right. Any other just open items before I move on to the requirements here? Okay, no, seeing none, I'm going to remind everyone that we have our next bi-monthly check-in meeting, Tuesday, February 11th at 1 p.m. It's me and Andrew Shoemaker. Ellie, I'm assuming you'll send out a meeting reminder for Andrew since he's not here now. And our next commission meeting is 4 p.m. Tuesday, March 4th. forward to that meeting. Sounds like there's gonna be some great stuff coming up for that. Any other matters for the good of the order? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, Trent and Danica, for attending virtually while you were on your sick beds.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
desks, or wherever you are.
Nice. Thanks, you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Your signature electronics, so you can just add it to the letter and get it over to Kate.
I'm not sure I have an electronic signature. Let me see if I do.
If you want to just grab a blank sheet of paper and sign,
Yeah, I why don't I do that?
we're gonna use it on all kinds of stuff.
Oh, God.